Forget it later. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And I guess Kathy can't make it today. But we got Denise and we got Jan, bright and early. Father John usually comes on the scene about now. Denise, haven't seen you in a while. Are you back home in the beautiful mountains of Colorado?
I am. I just got off the phone with Dan and I told him, I said, you know what? I absolutely love it here. I said, we're not moving. So,
Oh, good. Had he suggested, or had you suggested, or?
well, I mean, of course we have to go back and forth to Ohio. So we have a place there and we're trying to pinpoint a retirement, right? Where do we want to retire here? And he's decided he wants a place. He would like a place in La Quinta as well, which we go every year.
Oh my God.
And
Or Father John is.
yes. So I think that if we can split our time between the two, that would be good.
Mhm.
Yeah. My wellness is much better here than anywhere else.
I can tell. It certainly seems to be.
It is. And a side note, I don't remember if I sent a message out on this or not, but thanking everyone for all of their prayers and whatnot. I had my 2-year scan, which was good. So
Marvelous.
that's the good news. So and then I still have this month of antibiotics, and then I have my oral surgery on my mouth. So
Uh-huh.
not
And
looking
when
forward
is-
to
when is
that, but
coming up.
that's on October 5th. So they had me on antibiotics for the last 2.5 months
Uh-huh.
before being able to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I may be toothless the next time you see me, but
Oh my. Are you having all your teeth?
no, thankfully. They think that, which was also the other good news, they think it may only be 2. But we'll see once they get in there. They're worried about one of them possibly not coming out when they pull it and kind of crumbling and having to do a little bit more there. And then I won't be able to put any kind of implants or anything into my jaw. So I won't, so hopefully the teeth that need to be pulled are not going to be showing.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I hope that will be the case. And Jan, how are you?
Fine. I'm good. I'm busy. I mean,
Uh-huh.
just the setup for, the Bible study this year has gotten so complicated. I can't even believe it. So
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
Now, is this Bible study in Claremont or Bible study back in Beverly Hills?
in Beverly Hills,
Uh-huh. What's
we
complicating?
raced around all last week looking for the books because they said they were delivered, and we looked all over and we didn't find them. And then finally, Sister Virginia found them on Sunday and hidden away. I mean, it's just really crazy. So at least we got them. So that's good.
Oh, probably
Now-
under Michelle's desk or something.
Has church been back to normal for you two? Has there been, most people back in? Because I noticed this week it's still very light.
Really?
Yes.
No, I would say when I do go to OLA, it's crowded. And I was in Beverly Hills last weekend because I gave speeches at all the masses on Sunday, and it was pretty full. And then on Saturday too. So yeah, it
Oh,
looks
good,
pretty
huh?
much normal.
Yeah, we're still, I'd say, only about a quarter
Wow.
of capacity right now. I was surprised actually this week. I thought it would be much busier.
And I honestly have no idea. And that, as Father John kind of preening himself.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. It needs
This
a lot
is
of
good for the
cleaning.
pre-screening. We can all see what we look like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the PP, the preening.
Yes, yes. And how are you, Father Tom? How is your, how
Yeah.
are, how are your
Tomorrow,
children?
tomorrow is the very last radiation.
Oh,
treatment.
good.
So
Good.
I'll
That's,
see them.
that's awesome.
Yep.
That's
And,
great.
and of course, you may have had this experience or not, Denise, I don't know, but over the past 37 days, I've gotten really close to these people who are quite close,
Yes,
intimate in some ways to me,
yes,
who are the radiation techs. There are three of them,
yes.
uh,
Very, very close.
Damien, Nancy, and Kim. And, I'm going to miss them.
Yes. And when I rang the bell, when I finally got to ring the bell, my team, my radiation team was just awesome, and they were all there, and hugs and everything. And yes, you get, I mean, if anybody ever sees you at your worst, it's definitely them. And yeah, I had a wonderful team, and it was very emotional there towards the end. So
Well, fortunately, I've been in pretty good spirits and kind of bouncy, and they probably don't see too many people like that. So
no, that's what I thought. And I would, yeah, the people I would see going before me or after me. And, yeah, I would go in and I would try to make jokes and lighten the mood a little bit, and, they'd say, do you need help to get up on the table? And I'd say, if you want me on the table, so. Yeah.
Tom, I'm curious about your background. Is that phony or is that real?
no, that's funny.
I thought so.
It looks very
great.
nice. It
Yeah,
looks
it
like you
is
have
very nice.
a really nice home up on the hill.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
it actually is
upward mobility of the clergy.
is from a kind of a lookout place. I can see it from here on Palos Verdes. So
Beautiful.
where I'm living would be on this picture. Let me see. Probably right about there.
Nice.
And so I can see over the Smart and Final and very ugly roof of a car wash and apartment buildings, and then the ocean get bits and pieces of it through the palm trees and through the apartment buildings over there.
Did you create it, Tom? Did you create that background, or was that
No, I
commercially?
created it. I went
Wow.
up to
That's wonderful.
it's
Maybe you
a
could
lovely
create me some
lookout.
of those backgrounds.
Wow,
Yeah.
you are really quite the cyber guy, You can do all that stuff. I don't think
It's
I've
really
had
very
it.
simple. You just go down to your little camera icon and click the little upward caret there, and add background, and take any picture that you want. They've got several stock ones,
Yeah.
but
The where the little video camera
Yeah,
is.
where the video is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look for choose virtual background. But you have to upload the picture. So,
Ah,
not
okay.
to use one of the stock ones there.
Or you use something you have on your already on your computer.
And then you don't need a green screen.
no, not
That
anymore.
would be the requirement. You'll get a better, I think, a better image. It will pick up your self and your movements better if you do have a green screen. But if you have a background, for example, my hand tends to disappear. And sometimes I do if I move. That's because of what I've got in the background. But I just began to get kind of tired of looking at the neighbors' palm trees.
There you go. Sometimes people would walk by outside that window too.
Sometimes they
Yeah.
walk by, and sometimes you catch a glimpse of cars going up the street.
Yeah, I'd be afraid of the paparazzi,
Especially when you're as popular as Father Tom.
Exactly.
Well,
This guy's a rock star, you know?
Yeah.
yeah, well, paparazzi has retired. And he's
Okay.
not-
Oh, that's true. Papa Ratzinger, yeah.
Now
very good.
that's what they used to call
That's right.
Benedict the 16th.
Right.
Ratzinger.
Right,
Oh, he was
Right.
sometimes called paparazzi.
that's right. He was a.
Yeah.
Probably
So-
should have called him Papa Nazi, but
That too. Well, the other thing was, they call, what else? The other thing they called, they called him the German Shepherd.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I never heard that one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
or the Rottweiler.
yeah. He was a great scholar. My God,
Yeah,
Yeah,
university professor. And, it's interesting. He hired Hans Kuhn, or no, the other way around. Kuhn
yeah,
was already at Tübingen,
Yeah.
and he invited Ratzinger to come there. He was a junior, scholar to him at the time, and so that was an interesting connection there. Of course, Kuhn just died recently.
yeah.
yeah, and
What
you
a
know
shame.
what's interesting, I think, is that one of the first things Ratzinger did when he became Pope was to invite Kuhn for dinner and see if they could have a reconciliation.
Right. That was great.
I think they parted sort of agreeing to disagree, and there was no public acknowledgement after that, one way or the other, of whether anything was accomplished.
Yeah, still didn't give him back his license to teach
Yeah.
theology.
Yeah,
Because that was still so, but that was no problem. The other professors I visited Tübingen a couple of years ago,
mhm.
and the other professor, pardon me, the other professors simply said, "Okay, we'll create a department of ecumenical theology." So it was, I mean, he was already an ordinarius, which means full professor with tenure. So
Of course, a generation earlier, the earlier generation of what some of the scholars that became darlings of the conservatives were also restricted by the Holy See prior to Vatican Council. De Lubac and Conger, I think, are two that come to my mind.
how about Skillebeck?
Skillebeck has always been a little bit on the fringe, hasn't he?
Yeah,
But
I think so.
he was one of the most influential in my formation in actually broadening the concept of sacrament. His seminal book, which was so brief, Christ, the Sacrament of the Encounter with God, Christ is the sacrament of God, according to the definition of sacrament. And the church is the sacrament of Christ, according to the definition of sacrament. So, yeah, obviously. And then the sacraments are actions of the church that in some way embody Christ's saving action. So anyway, Skillebeck was, he was one of my early formative people.
How about Hans Urs von Balthasar? He was a great, who likes him a lot is Bishop Barron was
Yeah.
kind of a pupil of his.
Well, he and von Balthasar was also part of that Communio movement,
Right.
that published kind of counter research to the Concilium movement. And it's too bad that they never really managed to dialogue. It's sort of like they just stayed in opposition to each other, and that was sad.
Sounds familiar, huh?
Mhm.
Nihil novum sub sole, nothing new under the
Right.
sun.
So it looks like it'll be the four of us, unless somebody else joins at 9. Susan, as usual, has so many flaming torches in the air that it's hard for her to know just when and whether. So here we are. What shall we do beginning at 9?
You're the boss.
I
You're
know, and the boss is,
a fearless leader.
and the fearless leader is seeking consultation from his minions.
Sounds like a conciliar movement. A synodal way, right?
Right. Shall we launch forward with forgiveness? Do you want to get into the topics that have been on that very unruly thread of emails that was
That was
subject
potential
that,
dynamite, right?
Sunday coffee?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's good. You know, I wasn't on the last forgiveness that you did, but yeah, I think that's a good way to start, is to kind of move through that, and maybe that will just take us somewhere else. You know.
It may. Let me open a window here. I'm going to be like John the 23rd. Open a window and see what flies in.
Papa Roncalli the second.
Yeah. You know, the story that this priest died and went to purgatory and found that John the 23rd was in purgatory. And the priest said, you know, I know I deserve to be here, but what are you doing here? I thought you would go directly to heaven. And he says, no, they're making me stay until they shut that damn window.
Yes. Well, you know, and that is one subject I've always been interested in, that eventually I'd like to learn more on, is purgatory. Because it's, yeah, I mean, I understand, you know, a little bit of that, but, you know, I've had a lot of people ask questions on it that I can't answer. And I think I brought this up before, but I remember one OLA person that when we were discussing things at one point said to me that, you know, he truly believed that what we were living like here on earth was purgatory, that we, and sometimes it feels like it, but that was his take on it, was that he really believed that that this was purgatory.
Mhm.
And so it was a matter of leaving here and getting to where we needed to be. And you would probably be shocked, Father Tom, if I told you who it was that said that, but
Probably not. It
well,
wasn't.
my lips are sealed.
Aw.
But somebody who's near and dear to your heart still, I believe. So
Well,
and I thought, well, maybe they should be on here.
well, I cannot disagree.
Yeah.
And I did have an experience. I don't know. You want to launch into that?
Sure.
Is
Oh,
anybody interested in launching into? Because I think that may also touch some of the other stuff and touch forgiveness.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
yeah, I think I'd like to listen in on that. Like I said, just to know more about that. And I'm sure many people, I mean, of course, he told me this long before COVID and long before the political stuff ever came to be so strong. But you know, sometimes I wonder myself, I think, you know, I don't know, based on the
Mhm.
last few years I've had, I may agree with that scenario. That's
Yeah.
that's what we're living here. And so you
Well,
better get it right here.
Well, yeah, and you know, I reject the whole idea of purgatory being a matter of getting it right,
Mhm.
whether it's here or there. Um, I did have a very formative experience. I was only ordained about 2 years. Very formative experience in my first parish, which I would be willing to talk about. And if we want to get into that, I do want to tie up a loose end or so on forgiveness and see where that might take us. But then if you want to call us back into purgatory as it might relate to forgiveness, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that if everybody else is.
Sounds
Um, No, and you know, just as you know, I was just looking at the article that you sent last time because I didn't get a chance to read it until after we got off the Zoom.
Mhm.
But this whole idea that because Father Ed talked about it, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, this idea, and I looked it up too because I guess it's in the nomenclature now, is moral therapeutic deism, and this idea of the importance of community versus personal identity. And I think that's where there's a lot of, you know, lack of empathy and lack of, you know, this idea of community and the common good.
Mhm.
So
And
Yeah.
that kind of relates too, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yes.
I don't know how
surely.
exactly, but we can always tease that out. Meanwhile, it is 9 o'clock, and let me go live on Facebook and see what happens here. I think I'm all set to do that. Are you all set to do that?
Yep.
One last
Yep.
minute grooming.
primping. Yeah.
Okay. I'm primping my wig, Father Tom.
Okay. Let's see. Go live, public. We'll say goodbye to Facebook right now. So stopping the live stream. Goodbye, all the wonderful friends on Facebook.
Ciao.
And so we have finished Facebook just as Jenny is entering the waiting room.
Oh,
Where's Jenny?
So Jenny is now connected. Unmute yourself, Jenny.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Hi,
good morning.
Hi, welcome.
thank you. I didn't want to, Susan came in so graciously, but I didn't want to do the same thing because I was late to the Zoom. So here I am. I just wanted to say hi.
It's so good to see you. We
Hi,
haven't
Jenny.
seen, I haven't
It's
seen you in a
very
long
good to
time.
see you.
It's
I would
great.
see the emails, but I've never seen the
Right.
image.
I haven't seen Father John, and that's right.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And I was like I was saying things I think to myself during the hour that you all were on. One of the things that I came on for right now is because I watched the post meeting of last week, and there were some excellent ideas in there, especially about like emailing threads so that we could keep the email threads straight, because I think that that's kind of an issue too. They kind of can get away from you. And everybody has something very nice and interesting to say. So I like that. And also Father Tom mentioned maybe a Zoom, you know, kind of who can make it, who can't make it at other times to toss around some of these thoughts.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea if we can if we can actually find a time that is agreeable to everybody. One suggestion that I would have about the email threads, because that does become very confusing, and
Sure.
part of the problem is also different email servers or email programs handle those things differently. In fact, I know there's two settings on Gmail that neither one of them actually helps very much to recover. Oh, let me see, somewhere or other, Jenny said this. Now, how do I find it? If we could discipline ourselves not to reply to all, except to comment on whatever the subject of that email thread is, not to
Yes.
introduce a new subject by replying to all. Now, one of the things that means, I think, for each of us, and I do that, is that to start a new email, you have to input everybody's email address. I don't know how many of you are able to create a group. I think most servers or programs enable us to do that. So like I've got a group in my contact list. I put Tuesday Coffee and everybody is in that. So when I send an email to you, I just type Tuesday Coffee and then everybody comes up. Yeah. If you can do something like that, then if you have something new to say, put it in its own email with its own subject.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Because it's
Good idea.
difficult to just have, well, as Father John mentioned in one of his emails, and I've experienced it too. It's very difficult to stay on track if we are just replying all to an email that I sent out giving you the link, for example.
I couldn't find the link after,
Yeah,
it
That's
got buried somewhere.
that's a problem.
Right.
And
Right.
one thing that I do is I set up a new meeting every Tuesday. So it's a different link every Tuesday. That may be part due to security, but it's also part due to the fact that it keeps me on my toes. I have a group of former seminarians who were classmates of mine that we meet on Fridays. We called ourselves the Friday Five. And because it was a hassle to set up a new meeting every time, I set up a recurring meeting. But then again, not everybody can find that recurring meeting link unless I send it to them the night before. So it's
Well,
to one
and-
half dozen the other.
I put, when I have those recurring meetings, and I don't know if everybody has a Google Calendar or some kind of calendar, I try to put it in my calendar as a repeating meeting,
Yeah.
so
yes,
that
I do
helps.
that.
Yeah,
And the link is there in your calendar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
So Father, it's the Father 5.
Friday Five.
Right, Father's Friday 5s, 5, yeah,
Well, we're not, and I'm the only active priest in the group.
okay, you're freezing up. I don't know if I.
Yeah, you're freezing up
Gotcha.
too, unfortunately. But I'm the only active priest in the group.
Yeah.
We all were in the seminary together. Two others were ordained, but both of them left the priesthood after a few years. And both of them actually left for some form of academic life. One is a rather famous scholar in retired professor in Boston College. And two who left the seminary before ordination are lawyers, retired attorneys. And one is retired counselor. And so that kind of is, that's kind of the group. But
Gotcha.
we rediscovered each other somewhere, or at least somewhere in contact. I wasn't in contact with any of them, but one of them reached out to me, and we kind of decided, let's join. Let's just talk regularly and see what happens. And it was
That's great.
kind of nice. And in order to facilitate that, that is why I got the Zoom Pro account, so that we could not be limited to 40 minutes. And it's kind of nice to be able to record the meetings and, you know, all of that. I record those meetings too and make them available, because sometimes somebody can't make it and wants to see whether we were talking about them or whatever. But
I think Denise is delving into dogmatic theology.
yeah. Well,
She's like a baby when she wants to,
Dogmatic.
she thinks she's a lap dog.
as I've seen on bumper stickers, my karma just ran over your dogma.
I love it. I'd love to get that bumper sticker. That's great.
That's great. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that one.
That's great.
Actually, somebody at Pilgrim Place had that bumper sticker,
Oh, wow.
Oh
I
my
don't know
God.
who,
Funny.
but I used to see it there.
Beautiful doggy.
Right.
Thank you.
He or she is.
She.
Part of the she.
Sounds good. And Father, I love your background, but I noticed my observation was when you would move slightly, you would go in and out of a lighter light to a shadow to a light. So it's not distracting to me. I just obviously observation with being a photographer. So, but I didn't know if you were aware that you were going sometimes in and out of a good lighting.
Yes, I am. And
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with the background. It does have to do with the fact that I do have an additional light here that, because I was using a second screen, I did not have as close to me as, let's say, I do now. But
Gotcha.
because without that light, I'm half in the shadow.
Yeah, you
Got
look really sinister that way.
And
You know,
without,
the only thing, Tom, is that we're seeing your shadow side.
yeah, right.
Dark side.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that one.
Yeah, well, that's okay. And then
Oh, look how cute.
without the background, it's not working. I'm trying to delete the background.
While I know you're trying to do what you're trying to do, let me also say that a couple of Zoom meetings ago, when you had Father John as the main person on there, there were a couple times, because I went back just to look at it again, and I caught how, luckily I wasn't like poking my nose or anything weird. I blipped into him speaking, and somebody else blipped into, as far as it showed, where we didn't think we were on camera. It showed me for a couple seconds, then off, and then it showed, I think, Janice for a couple seconds, and then it went off. But it was when you had Father John speaking solo, on his own, where it was the whole screen, it still showed a little glimpse of myself sitting, and luckily I wasn't doing anything embarrassing, and it did show Janice a second. So I'm not sure if that was a blip in the system or what happened there. So,
Well, here's exactly what happened there.
uh-oh.
And now I'm back to, notice I
Oh, yeah.
I closed the blind there.
Yeah,
but,
that looks
uh,
good too.
Yeah, that doesn't look bad. But what happens is, by default, the Zoom, for one thing, you can have a gallery view, which I've got now, all six of you, all six of us, or
Right.
you can have a speaker's view. Now, the speaker's view, if you'll notice in the gallery view, whoever is speaking has an outline of, in mine, it's a green box around my image.
Right.
Now, at that point, Father John said, right, and it went to him.
Right.
Now, if you have a speaker view, what happens is John would be the one on the screen. You have a dog barking in the background, and you go to speaker. So that's not quite manageable. There may be a setting somewhere in the in the controls that allows you more control over that. I'm not really sure, but
Gotcha.
I'd have to.
I wish on my cell phone I could get the view of everyone, whereas on the cell phone, unlike the laptop or iPad, it's only the two. It's yourself and myself in the corner, where I can't show all of us on my iPhone. It's an iPhone, maybe because it's an older phone.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how the Zoom screens work on, those smaller screens. But
Right.
They may be different. I have it on the computer. The reason why I couldn't was having difficulty changing the background earlier is because the settings showed up on my other screen, which I wasn't paying attention to. But I'm learning.
As we all are, as we all are.
As we all
And
are.
Janice, I just wanted to mention, thank you so much for pointing that out about the ballot and giving that detail that will hopefully, hit, whether it's 100 people. I'm going to share that on my social media just to, again, hopefully get that word out about just voting that way, because it's so important. So I appreciate you saying that, adding on to the vote.
Yeah. The problem is this whole thing is so absolutely so stupid.
Oh,
It is.
A waste of
So
money.
stupid.
too.
Waste,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
A waste of time, a waste of money, and
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's what
No,
you
and
were
it's-
saying before about the polarization. I mean, it's
mhm.
just another sign, of the
A sign we're in
dream.
purgatory,
Was
Yeah.
that?
a sign that we're in purgatory.
Hopefully not.
Well, purgatory,
Maybe
it-
we're
Purgatory would be
hell.
better than this,
well, it depends. Purgatory, I think if purgatory has any meaning at all, it is an active place, not a passive place. It's not where it's not like you're 100 years in prison, sitting in a cell. Purgatory, this is purgatory depending on what you make of it.
Right.
I think also it's like remedial instruction. It's
Yeah.
a chance
May very
to,
well be.
and I can't help likening this to the time between the resurrection and the ascension, where Jesus came back. And why did he go directly? Why did he spend 6-7 weeks? Well, these disciples were kind of dense. They needed some more remedial truth. I mean, they were still out left field,
true.
and he
Yeah.
needed to come back to give some remedial instruction. And when he finally felt they were ready, they were ready to take over the church, and he could safely leave, he took off like a rocket, literally. So I mean, but the point is this: that remedial sense of God wanting to spend as much time as necessary with us.
Yeah.
So we get it.
But, think about it in a minute. That time, as it's related in the scripture, was not Jesus preparing them to, quote, take over the church or even to go forth on mission. Jesus was really preparing them to receive the Holy Spirit, who would
Oh,
send them.
that's even better. Yeah.
Right. That's true.
That's
Yeah.
right. But they need a little bit more, a little more spiritual direction.
But even after the ascension, all the indications in scripture are that they didn't have a clue. They ran
true.
back to the upper room and locked
Right.
the doors until the Spirit came.
That's
Scared.
true.
Scared. I want to thank you all. I want to thank also Denise for such a beautiful prayer. And again, truly, I thank you all for letting me vent and share and be curious. I do appreciate it. My cell phone is about to go down, and I don't want to blank out on you guys. So,
Okay, well, then God bless you all, and let's go forth bravely into our purgatorial day.
Right.
Okay, bye-bye now.
See you
Bye,
next week.
everyone.
Bye-bye.